Because kick counts are a huge soapbox of mine, I so often hear my doctor told me to just monitor baby's movements, that I didn't need to do kick counts. And today I'm going to tell you why you should be doing kick counts. I'm going to give you tips on how to do your kick counts and show you that maybe monitoring baby's movement, which seems a little vague just as you say it, might not be as good as the actual kick count. So let's get started. And if you're watching this video and you're like, Hillary, I have no idea what you're talking about, grab my kick count cheat sheet. Is down below. You guys are going to find it very helpful. It gives how to do it and other resources to make sure that you're doing it correctly. And it's totally normal to have questions about how kick counts applies to you, your anterior placenta, twins. I have more information on the cheat sheet about how to make them work for you that I think you guys are going to find really helpful as well. Okay, so first off, what is monitoring your baby's movement? I think it's just knowing their general pattern. And I'm here to tell you that even if you're doing kick counts, that doesn't mean you turn off your brain the rest of the day and don't monitor how baby is moving in the womb. You're still making sure that they have that pattern. If your baby kicks like crazy every time you get into bed, you're still going to want to feel that. In fact, if that's the case, that might be a great time to do your kick counts. I chose a time frame to do kick counts that was in my baby's pattern, which was after I ate. So after I had dinner, I would sit and feel for baby to move. I know a lot of people go by a time. You know, dinner time was fairly normal because I was pregnant and I needed to eat dinner. But, you know, that was a time frame that I could use versus like 6 p.m. every night, because I think my baby tended to go a little bit more off of my rhythms from eating. When you eat, it's loud for baby. You know, if you're drinking cold fluids, the baby can feel it as well because the stomach is close enough to the uterus. And so it's a great time that baby tends to wake up a lot and moves a lot. So that's why I recommend doing it at that time frame. And again, I knew that that was a good time frame because I had monitored my baby's patterns, you know, leading up to about 27 weeks of pregnancy, which is when you're supposed to start your kick counts. Now, when I hear providers say, oh, just monitor your baby's patterns, it honestly brings up a red flag for me, because there are providers out there who do not want to be bothered if you feel like baby is not moving enough. They feel like there are enough false alarms that it's not worth their time. However, there are studies that show that when you are doing kick counts daily, it decreases stillbirths by 33%. Now, that cannot be said of monitoring baby's movements, because that's just a nebulous term. It's hard to know what you're doing. And I got to say that as a nurse, when I would sit down to chart, sometimes I would think, did I feel that baby move in the last 4 hours? And it's just because I was so busy. I was busy being my own person, right? So sometimes you just can't monitor baby's movements every second of the day because you have other things on your mind. And so when you take that time to do your kick counts, it can really be reassuring that even though you couldn't pay attention to absolutely every single movement all day, you can pay attention to it, you know, at that specific time of day. Now, I used to think that same thing. I felt like kick counts were not that helpful, but when you look at the studies, it really changed my mind. And yes, there are going to be false alarms. You may end up going into labor and delivery and everything looks fine. But I'm here to tell you that sometimes you go into labor and delivery, and while baby looks okay, suddenly they find out that you have some preeclampsia going on, because baby's movement is going to show your overall health, right? If you're sick, baby may move a little bit less. And if they're really moving a lot less, you might need to go in and get some fluids or maybe go on antibiotics. And so baby's kick counts can actually show if you need to be getting help beyond just baby not doing well. There's other benefits to kick counts as well. I cannot tell you how many people I've had in my comments who said, I noticed my kick counts were off. I went into labor and delivery, and it turns out I had preeclampsia. I got on the monitor, baby started kicking right away, and I felt foolish for going in. So they thought they had a false alarm. But it turns out mom needed help and she needed to be induced or whatever because of preeclampsia. So kick counts have a lot of things, not just baby's movement. Now, I hear monitor baby's movement, or some people say 10 kicks in 2 hours. Now, if that was true for my baby, if my baby had taken 2 hours to give me a kick count, I should have gone to the hospital 1 hour into that. My babies usually took 10 minutes to give me 10 kicks. And so it really depends on your baby. For some babies, it's going to take 3 hours to get 10 kicks because of how the placenta is, where they are in the baby's positioning, things like that. But for a lot of babies, 2 hours is far too long to be getting 10 kicks. And some doctors are like, you should be doing that all day long. And again, it is really hard to have the pressure of having to count every time baby moves, because this isn't just kicks, it's any movement throughout the day versus just one time a day. I also hear a lot of times that this makes people have more anxiety when they're sitting there feeling for baby to move. And that may be the case for some of you, but Count the Kicks, they have polled the people that are doing kick counts, and they say that ultimately it decreased their anxiety because they had the data to back up their feelings about baby moving enough or not enough and going into the hospital. But it can be anxious in the beginning because you're learning baby's pattern, and one day is going to take 10 minutes, the next day may take 30 minutes, and you're going to learn that your average is about 20 minutes, but you are going to have some days that veer to maybe 40 minutes, and you might get a little bit anxious during that time. I always encourage patients to just hope and dream during that time. Especially in the beginning, I would encourage you not to have the TV on, not to be looking at your phone. You're just sitting there, maybe listening to a little bit of calming music and feeling for baby to move. Dream about the future. Dream about that first Christmas. Dream about the first time you put him in a Halloween costume. That is top tier parenting for me. So dream and hope, and you can even involve siblings. You can involve your partner. They can put their hand on the belly, and they can, kids can tap the thing when you feel a movement. So there's a lot of things that you can do to make it a little bit more enjoyable rather than just sitting there worried that something is wrong. The final thing is, a lot of people don't go into labor and delivery because they're afraid of how the nurses are going to act, especially if it is a false alarm. And I'm here to tell you, as a nurse for a really long time, that I would much rather see you and everything be absolutely fine than to not see you, things are not fine, and we have a negative outcome. Now, your nurse may not be a Disneyland princess when you come in to see them. Sometimes we have a lot on our plates and they may not give you the attitude that you're hoping for, but I'm here to tell you that every single labor and delivery nurse would rather see you, make sure baby is fine on the monitor, and then discharge you home rather than to have a poor outcome. There is not a single labor and delivery nurse that is not on that train, even if sometimes our thoughts and feelings and appearance may not be that. You can know that this nurse is glad that I came in, even though she seems bothered that I am here. Take that with you. I am a huge fan of kick counts. They can save stillbirths. If you're looking for the basics of kick counts, because you're just like, I have no idea what you're talking about, Hillary, I have a whole video on Kick Counts 101 that just goes over how to do them. I'm going to link it up above. And I'm here to answer any questions that you guys have down in the comments. Thanks for joining us here on The Pregnancy Nurse, where we get you prepared, not scared, for your upcoming hospital birth and making sure baby is doing well.